This is one of the episodes I've been looking most forward to.
Hey,
And also
hey.
best time of the week too. Another little podcast getting shot. Always love that.
Is it because we have another Brian? I mean, I know we've gotten good about names that have overlapped here,
You
but
know, I've actually been I've been submitting tickets saying we don't have enough Brian support on these podcasts. So I'm glad I'm finally getting heard out.
we've had multiple Adams. We haven't had multiple Grants. Jarvis, I think you're probably safe. I don't know that we're gonna get another Jarvis. That's a pretty unique one down there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What we do have is another BYU grad. I mean, BYU Idaho, but still tangentially close enough.
Hey, that's all right. I know. I know you guys fly together, so yeah, this will be a good time. Well, let's bring them on. Brian, Josh, great to see y'all. Thank you guys for making the time. Brian, clearly like from the road here, which I love. The mobile setup, mobile studio. We spare no expense at our studios here, but good to see you guys. Thanks for hopping in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to be here.
I caught Brian. I was like, "Hey, I thought I was going to make this time, but I gotta get my iPad set up." And yeah, we're trying some new things, fellas. We don't need no fancy studios here. We're making it happen on the fly. So yeah, having you guys in, this is awesome. We have just been super encouraged by your guys' work. Not only as just like a company, and we'll get into some of that of kind of your guys' team and what you do, but just like I think your guys' role and your relationship has been really fun to watch. And so I feel like anytime I've been in a meeting with you two, Josh, you're always like, "Oh, let Brian speak to that." And Brian, I know you're super encouraged by kind of the leadership that Josh and team have kind of set forth. But yeah, that's really what we wanted to dive into is just I think a little bit about your guys' team, really how you guys have continued to be, I would say, almost like pioneers in the space of continuing to put new workflows and tools and things out there for your project teams to really kind of, I would say, get the most benefit from. And so, yeah, we just felt like, hey, let's tap you guys on the shoulder. Would you want to hop in? And here we are from a car. So I appreciate that, Brian.
Yeah. Good to be here. I'll let Josh kind of start and maybe talk a little bit about like what the dynamic is and where we've started. And maybe I can chime in on the backstory a little bit too. But
I will say for the folks that are just listening and not watching, Brian is stationary, so we did have him pull over. No, just fun to see. But yeah, Josh, kick us off, man. Tell us a little bit about Weitz. Tell us a little bit about your role, kind of how we got to maybe this conversation today, and in the most summaristic way that you feel we can dive into.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And well, let me start with a little bit about Weitz. Weitz is a 170-year-old general contractor based out of Des Moines, Iowa. We are proud to say we are like the sixth oldest privately held contractor in the country, and we are the oldest contractor west of the Mississippi, founded in 1855. Weitz is a full-service general contractor. We have projects in 20-plus states. We have 8 to 10 offices across the country. We are an entity of Erascom Construction out of Egypt. We are the U.S. arm of that. And yeah, I mean, you name a type of project, we do it. I mean, a lot of our specialties or product lines are, data centers, student housing, senior living, commercial. We have an industrial group and an aviation group. So we get to touch a lot of different type of work and a lot of different types of projects. I joined Weitz just over 5 years ago. The leadership at Weitz came to me and basically stated, "Hey, we're looking for somebody like you. We are doing BIM and VDC as a company, but we don't have a department. We don't know what we really need, and we need somebody like you to kind of tell us what we need." So I hired on with Weitz right at the beginning of COVID. So within about 2 weeks, they shut all travel down, and I very quickly had to learn to work from home. I was fortunate enough that the team and the culture at Weitz was very accepting, and I spent about my first 6 months or so with the company, really kind of evaluating what we were doing, what I saw the company needed, what was happening. At that time, we had, including myself, 3 VDC people for the entire company. Weitz is roughly, about a $3 billion company. So, 1,000 employees, 1,000 salaried employees across the company. So only having 3 people, there was some disadvantage there. There was a lot of opportunity. Let's put it that way. within the first 6 months, I went to our executive team and said, hey, we need a VDC department. We need expertise. We need a group of individuals that are experts in this. And this is something we need to be doing on all of our large projects. And we need to be learning how to do it and have the right expertise. From there, we selected a few of our larger projects and we started hiring and bringing that expertise on. And I think right away we started seeing an increase in the demand. A lot of people started seeing what we were doing, wanted that on their projects, saw the efficiency, saw how it made a difference. It was making a difference on these projects. And within that 5 years, we now have a team of right around 20. We have multiple positions open right now for some of our upcoming projects. So we grew very, very quickly, in the grand scheme of things. Brian was somebody we brought on here, about a year and a half ago. Brian had a little bit of a unique background, and that's one of the things that when Brian says we have a bit of a different team, we're kind of approaching things different. I don't know that we're doing anything different than our counterparts or peers. I maybe have a little different concept of what that should look like as a company. And so, we've sought out and looked for, I like to call them the unicorns. Brian's definitely a unicorn within, his expertise. He has a mechanical engineering background. Our team we have a number of architects on our team. We have civil engineering, people with the civil engineering background. One of my senior manager is a master plumber, right? And he just really loves technology. But I think the commonality between everybody on my team is that passion. The excitement for what we do for technology and construction, and making a difference, making it impact our projects.
Man, great intro. Some takeaways I heard was one person per billion back in the day. That doesn't sound super sustainable. Definitely glad that ratio has changed. And yeah, just like the passion part of it. We get to see it, obviously, getting to work with you guys closer, but I think it's just so encouraging. We have a ton of listeners that I think have reached out and really said, like, how do you grow fast? What way do you grow? And I think sometimes you can get lost in the like, oh, it's never attainable, it's never achievable. And I think it's super encouraging to hear just your kind of preface of your story of just like, hey, like 5 years ago, even that COVID kind of became the inflection point. Hey, we went from 3 to 20, and there's a lot of things that go into that. I think obviously we're going to dive into those a little bit more too. But yeah, I just think knowing some of our listeners out there that are like, hey, I'll never do that, or maybe I'm not in the right spot. And I love the shout out to hey, we got some positions here. Come on over if you're curious. And as a local Iowa boy too, I always love hearing the roots there. But yeah, Brian, you've seen this kind of team grow and flourish. What else are you kind of interested to dive into?
Having been in the same exact one, I was the first innovation hire at the time, $1 billion company. So I know exactly the position you were in. My first question I'd like to ask is, there's this like, it's like, okay, great. We have this big opportunity over here. We know if we do anything in innovation right now, because we're not doing as much, there is a great opportunity. But how was the conversation on like sizing up that opportunity, and did you get any sticker shock on when you were like, this is the investment I'm looking to do over the next couple of years? Was there a plan drawn out of this is going to be a cost recovery, like we have a cost recovery plan, or is this like we need to do an initial investment? Like, because there are a lot of people on this call who may be the first person at a $500 million company.
Sure.
Right. And like, how do you transition from maybe I'm just an enthusiastic PM to somebody that's being taken seriously by an executive team?
Let me, if I understand the question correctly, let me start here. It's when I sat down with our executive team, I made it very clear that if we were going to create a VDC department, it was not going to be a profit center. It was not going to be a recoverable. We were going to be an overhead department. And the reason that I recommended that was because of some of the experiences I had with previous jobs, previous employers, where that became such a focus and it became a hurdle that we had to get over on every project. We had to make sure every every employee was billable to a certain extent. We had to make sure that we were recovering back to a very minimum zero out our department's budget. And it basically made it became literally like 20% or more of an individual's time was just like the administrative piece of tracking time. So we set up internally a system where we were a shared cost. We were a shared service across the company. Anything that was overhead or pursuit related or our technology, including our technology, it was an allocation that went out to each of our business units or regions, and it was just like, hey, on an annual basis, this is your VDC cost. Whether you use the VDC team or not, you paid into this cost. Now, since then, I mean, what we've been able to do, not getting into numbers, as we've brought new employees on, and we've brought two new team members on. I mean, if I have a team member that is dedicated to a project, that project pays for them, right? But it's not at a cost that is for a profit. It's literally like, hey, you got to pay the guy's salary. If we buy laser scanners or equipment, right, that goes into the allocation. That makes it accessible for any of our projects at any time, and it's not an additional cost. We've made it clear to our projects, hey, if you can charge an owner for drone services, if you can charge an owner for laser scan, that revenue goes back to the project. It doesn't come back to my VDC team. Okay, we've been able to grow our team and literally pretty close maintained that original budget that I came up with 5 years ago. Okay, and how we established that budget, I mean, it was a big long spreadsheet and list of like, hey, here's the things I think we're going to need in the next couple of years. Here's the people we need in the next couple of years, and it was, I'd say it's a fairly lean budget for what we were trying to do for starting it from scratch. And what we've seen, again, we've been able to maintain that, but we've been able to grow with the demand and not increase that budget because the demand has been on the project side. And almost every team member that we've brought on, we've had enough projects that have more than paid for those individuals.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. Well, yeah, the only thing I was going to say is I think, that's like incredible the way you just structured that, described it, and had the foresight to see, where this is going to get roadblocked if we go this other direction. But then also, Brian, on your side, on like the field side, you don't have to turn away projects that are in the $4 million fit out range because they can't afford a $500 camera. And it sounds dumb to a lot of people who maybe aren't in construction, but budgets are tight on a lot of these things. And you have, I've seen, it's funny because you always hear about the field side being resistant, and I've always actually experienced almost the opposite. It's like, hey, we want to do this, we don't know where we can get the money, and the company is like, if you can't pay for it on the project, then you're not doing it. And I'd like to hear from your side, Brian, like, how has that opened the doors to get you to work with more projects that in other scenarios you wouldn't have been able to?
Yeah, no, totally. I think one of the big focuses that I've had is just developing relationships with our project teams and having this structure the way that it is. I can just be like, hey, we have this whole toolbox of drones, laser scanning equipment, like robotics and other tools, and we have different pieces and tools that can help every project. And it's been really nice for me to be able to develop relationships with the project teams to say, okay, what are you working on? What are you struggling with? What are the individual challenges of these projects, and how can we use VDC or technology to assist with these different challenges? And I think it's been really cool to see that these relationships build, and these people realize that VDC and like our team, with all the different characters or like the different specialists, I feel like our team's kind of like the A team, and being able to come up with solutions and come up with them fast to all the different projects and the different challenges that they face. So it's been really cool. It's been a fun and dynamic place to be in. So
Jarvis, I know you got some questions cooking down there. I got a few in the hopper, but you guys know me too well. I tend to steal the mic, no pun intended.
No, it's all good. I think for me, one of the main questions I have is like, where do you guys draw that line of, this project's not big enough to absorb some of the technology tools or some of the personnel tools that we want to send out versus, this project is definitely big enough to stand on its own, and they should have a camera. They should have a person on site that's doing collections. Like what does that conversation look like between the technology team and the project team?
Let me jump in here. One, we work with and leverage our project teams on every project. So there is a level of participation from every one of our project teams. So you're absolutely right. On a $4 million project, I'm not going to have a dedicated VDC person on that job site, right? Depending on the location, I may not even be able to send a dedicated VDC person out there. But we will work with that team and train them up on the technology. We haven't run into a project of any size that can't spare $500 to buy a camera. And then because of the software, the software cost and everything like that, that is put into either our IT allocation or our VDC allocation. It's not an additional cost for the most part on our project team, right? It's spread across the company. But that being said, my team knows this. Brian has heard this from me 1,000 times. I don't want to become a group or department that tells anybody no. My philosophy on that is if I'm telling people no, next time they need something, they're not going to come to me. If I start telling them no and they have something that they need to get done, which if you've worked with project managers, superintendents, they're not going to stop. They're not going to slow down, right? If they need something or they're determined that they need something, you tell them no, they're going to go around you. They're going to find a way to get what they need to get the job done. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to turn my own team. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to help our teams succeed on these projects. I start telling them no, we become a detriment to that. So instead of telling them no, if budget's a concern, we tell them, hey, here's what our needs are. Here's the data we need. Here's the model we need. And we will work with what they have. If you have this level of information, you have this level of budget, here's what we can do. Here's your time frame, here's what we can do. If it's something new, hey, we'll be open and upfront with them that, hey, this is a technology we haven't tried before. Brian actually did this very recently. We tested a new augmented reality software on a project because they expressed a need. Now, we have a group within the company that is, getting engagement with Revisto and some other software that has that functionality, but we're not up and running in a lot of regards to some of those things. So the project had an immediate need. Brian found a solution that we could lift up very quickly, but we made it clear to the project team is, hey, we have not used this before. This is an experiment. We're going to try this out. We engaged that team. Brian had that team participating. Brian, I'll let you talk more about that, but I mean, it's again, I just, to me, if I'm starting to tell people no, or I turn them away, it's going to hurt us as a company, not just my department, right?
Whew, we can go down that. I very much want to go down that trail. Yeah, Brian. I mean,
Amen.
like, how do you kind of face that though? Because like you don't want to be a yes man for everything. Like it's really a yes and more so, like not a yes
Right.
but. Like I mean, you're obviously interacting and on the front lines with a lot of these project teams, but like I love what you said, Josh, because it is true. Like that will reap, down the road. They're not going to come back and they're going to be like, oh, well, they told me no before. And like, why should I go back and like put my neck out to ask again? But like, yeah, Brian, how do you clarify? So in this specific example, like, hey, yes, but we haven't used this tool, or yes, but we're still working through some of these kinks to almost like set those expectations up front. Like walk us through a little bit of like how that maybe in this specific like example is like gone out.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a funny, I don't know. This was a unique instance where so I had a project team reach out and just say, hey, what tools do we have for doing augmented in wall inspections, being able to view the model augmented over reality, and I knew that we had done some things in the past, and so I put together a little like threw some VR headsets in a bag and went out to the project just to kind of say, oh, here's some like videos of things we've done in the past. And when I got there, they're like, well, go out and do it. And I was like, oh shoot, like I didn't realize that I was supposed to have this already figured out, and I was like, okay, just so you know, this is very like the tool we used to use, it doesn't even exist anymore. It was, I think the, company was bought out, and then like, anyways, so I was scrambling and just said, hey, just so you know, like, we'll do our best, and but this is something new. This is a tool that we're not using every day, and but I really want to find you a solution. And so we called a couple of companies up, and we had some like demos done, and we dialed in on like one demo that they were willing to give us a little trial on, and we ran out to the project. I think it was like the next day, so it was like a 24-hour turnaround. I felt challenged by this project team, and when I feel challenged, I really want to like to deliver. And so, anyways, we went out and just said, okay, this is a solution that we found you. Like, it might not be the perfect solution. We didn't have a whole lot of time to like come up with something, but we showed the project team, and they loved it. And I think the thing they loved the most was that we were able to come up with a solution when they challenged us to do so. And not that, I think that we have other tools that are going to be better, and I don't think we're like this specific program. I don't think that we'll use it too much in the future, but I think that it is that, like, if you can show the project teams that you take their ideas seriously, and that you want to work with them and want to help them on their project, and solve these different things, it is like managing expectations, though, right? Like, hey, we haven't done this before. We're gonna do our best, but we'll show you the results, and just being open and honest. And I found that with project teams, even the smallest like hurdles can sometimes make a project or a product or a technology like unusable for them. And so it's really trying to find what's going to be the simplest and easiest to use tool for these teams to use. And so, anyways, I'm kind of running on, but that's some thoughts on that one.
I think it's interesting that like we talk a lot about on here the partnerships between, call it your guys' team and us as a vendor, right? A software vendor. But we don't talk a lot about the partnership between your guys' team and field teams. Like that, I think is often an art that gets, I want to say like overlooked, but it's like, oh yeah, we're on the same team, we're the same logo. It's like, very different though. You guys have very different objectives and very different goals and outcomes of like being an enabler versus being a builder. And that, I think, yeah, just hearing you kind of walk through of just like the expectation setting, and also like, hey, you want to go above and beyond for them, and that builds the relationship that you eventually have. But Josh, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And to kind of add on to that, I mean, this example, demonstrates, our team members like Brian. Let me put it this way. I make it very clear to my team, and when I hire somebody or I'm looking for somebody, I am more interested in their personality, their ability to communicate, because we are in a customer service industry internally, right? Our internal customers are our project teams. And if I have people that aren't able to communicate, I don't have a modeling farm where I have a group within our team that is sitting behind the computer 8 hours a day, staring at a screen and not talking to anybody. Every single person on my team needs to be able to communicate, have a conversation with the team, build that confidence with the team, build that relationship. So to me, that's almost more important than a lot of the technical skills. It's one of the reasons that, even with our interns, when we hire interns, I really am not concerned with the classes that they've made. I'm not really concerned with how far they've got in their schooling, because we're going to teach them. I mean, as long as they have some software understanding, they have an idea of the process, they have an idea, they have some understanding of construction. A lot of that other stuff, we're going to teach them, right? But if they're not able to communicate, or they're very, I don't want to say introverts, because I have a lot of team members that I would consider kind of introverted, but they're still able to communicate, and they're still able to build relationships, right, with the teams. And that's really what matters to me. I mean, and I think that it's evident in the team that we've built. I am proud of the team that we've built. I mean, we have, to Brian's point, we have a lot of very specific expertises. We have a lot of specialists on our team that are very specialized in one workflow, one software, things like that bring something to the table. And we've been able to expand on that to the rest of the team because of that ability to communicate and create relationships.
I know Brian, I see,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see your question, but I want to, you want to take it? Cause I got one that kind of is in that camp, but
That's actually what I wanted to ask about was hiring.
well, okay, perfect. Let's do
yeah.
this a little bit. Cause
Yeah, go ahead.
guys, welcome to the fun of Brian and I arm wrestling each other, which we know how that will win, for questions. I want to talk about a little bit to that point about team and building and hiring. Like you guys just got done with your VDC summit, which is bringing together all your different regions. That's super unique too, because I feel like one thing I want to ask is just like, how do you maintain that consistency across regions? Because that is super tricky. Teams grow. You're obviously at the size and scale that you're doing this in multiple offices, where your team is sitting in, 3 to 4 different time zones, even for you guys of, maintaining that level of like culture and team dynamic. Like how long had the VDC summit been in this kind of 5-year journey that you've had? When did that become a thing, Josh, that you felt like was needed in that? And like, I'm sure Brian, your first experience into that was just like, oh yeah, I get to see all these different, folks from different regions and now have that connection with them. Like, how did it start? How influential has that been as a part of your guys' team culture and dynamic? And yeah, like what outcomes have you guys seen, come from it?
So our VDC summit is something we started 2 years. I mean, so we do it every 2 years, and this is our second VDC summit that we've done, and what we saw very quickly was as the team grew, we had a need to get all of our team together at least in a predictable manner over a certain amount of time, where we could all align on strategy. I mean, you're absolutely right. We have team members across the country, and we can accomplish quite a bit via Zoom and online meetings, and there is not a week that goes by that our team isn't meeting, and I don't think we have a team member that is not working with somebody else in another region or another part of the company. I mean, we are all working together. I like, even as large as our team is, we're a pretty tight-knit group. The VDC Summit gives us an opportunity to all come together in one location. We rent one Airbnb. We found a very large Airbnb that has it will sleep like 30 people or something like that. So everybody's got their own space, but we're all staying in the same location, and we spend 3-4 days together. Right? We talk about strategy. We talk about workflows, standard operating procedures, and we try to make sure that we're all moving in the same direction at the same speed at the same time, and everybody is aware of what we're doing across the company. We have weekly conversations where that is part of what we discuss. Yeah, Brian, you have anything to add to that?
I was gonna say, Brian, so this is your first one, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like someone new coming on the team, probably interviewed through some of these, folks as you're kind of coming on, but like, yeah, like how valuable is that for you? Is about these resources that are in other regions and just kind of specialists that you can kind of lean on when need be too.
Right, and I think it was really cool to see everybody in the same room, and doing these different strategy and training. Like we talk about safety. Like there was one session where we're just talking about like how can we help with safety in the company, and it's really cool to see just all the different people and their different personalities and the different skills that they have and how they can all contribute something to the table. And so I like it. I thought that the VDC summit was super cool, just to get to know people on a little bit more of like a individual level, and some of those team members that might be a little bit more quiet or secluded or off on a different state in the country. Just I think it just helps our team dynamic with just like the culture and stuff, feeling like we can reach out to each other and ask those questions. And we've got people that have been around for a long time, and we've got people that were brand new. I think that there was somebody that was hired on a week before the summit, and so I think it was really good for everyone to kind of get on the same level of understanding of where everybody was at and what they were working on. And I think that's just it's an ongoing thing, right? With our team and with any team is just knowing how best to leverage everybody, and as we continue to grow, like that's going to be an ongoing thing. So
Talk about like the partner part of it. So you guys obviously bring in other tools and partners that are, you know, a part of your guys' kind of fold of, I would say your tech stack, if we want to call it that. Like, what was that a thing the first go around, Josh, that like you guys felt was an opportunity for you guys to kind of know and see more? Is it a time for like evaluation where you're like, hey, like we all kind of want everyone's opinion about some of these maybe new tools that we're looking to invest in, but like it obviously high team time, high engagement interaction, but you know, you guys go in another step further of like, hey, like let's invite some key partners that we have that, you know, are helping us kind of along the way too. Like, was that kind of in the genesis of it happening, or was it kind of a new thing you guys did this year?
No, we always knew we wanted. So let me put it this. Let me start here. Is our first go around of our VDC summit. You know, we had a dozen team members at that time. So that was, you know, again 2 years ago. We were about 12 people. We brought everybody together, and what we saw was there was a few of us that were very exposed to some of our vendors and some of the specific softwares and services that we did. As you guys are aware, I mean, as a company, we have 35 to 40 drone pilots. We have a drone champions group, which a lot of our VDC team is part of our champions group, but not all of them. So there was still a lot of, a large part of our team that wasn't quite as familiar with a lot of the softwares or some of the vendors that we work closely with. The first time we did it, yes, I think we had two of our vendors that came that were very specific, and we gave them each an hour to, you know, present to the entire team, you know, the relationship with Weitz, what product services they were providing. And we also kind of tagged along with that. I'm without mentioning names, you know, one of them is a BIM execution planning software service that we had come in the first time around. And what we quickly realized was there was a lot of our team members that, you know, again, we have a lot of specialists that, you know, they weren't experienced putting together a BIM execution plan. So it also kind of gave us some guidance on, hey, these are skill sets, these are important things that we teach all of our team members to do. And so we were able to learn something from that. This last VDC summit, we had 3 vendors. We actually extended our summit by an additional day. I kind of got in trouble at the summit because we planned 2 full days of seminar and discussions, and I didn't give anybody sufficient bathroom breaks or anything like that. So it was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, and yeah, it was.
It was in the post recap survey. I get it. I mean, that's what those are for. Give us more bathroom.
Want to cram in as much information as we can and a lot of opportunity. So, but we were able to bring 3 of our vendors, Drone Deploy being one of them, and have you guys present to our team. Again, most of our team, I would say, is pretty familiar with Drone Deploy, but you guys were able to bring specific workflows and products to that presentation that, you know, a good part of my team hasn't been exposed to, and increase that understanding. And the reason I think that that's important is I expect everybody on my team, regardless of their specialty, regardless of their role, to be knowledgeable about what our team is capable of and what we can communicate to our project teams on how we can assist them, right? Again, I mentioned I have a number of architects on my team, right? They're very savvy when it comes to Revit and BIM coordination and, you know, workflows like that, but maybe they're less savvy on dusty robotics and you know, some of the field solutions things, Drone Deploy and operating the drone, right? So we want to make sure that we're increasing that understanding, that training across the entire team.
Yeah,
I was going to ask a question, Grant, if that's all right.
Come on, Brian knows if he doesn't interrupt me, he won't get him in. So yeah, go for it.
All right, so you know, very clearly, I always love the term business development's everybody's job. So is safety, right? Everybody at the company has a responsibility to just progress the company forward. And it seems like a lot of your team, I've been seeing some more VDC integrating with your marketing team. I've been seeing some pretty cool highlight reels and things going on like that. How does the internal team also think about marketing newer services that projects could leverage? Is that usually done on a one-to-one basis? Do you send any direct newsletters at the company out? Is there some sort of portal where you would post highlights. For example, we had like that spotlight series, and I think Weitz was actually one of the first companies we did a very long time ago now. I think when it was still Strug State. But how do you think about marketing the services you guys offer internally at the rest of the company? Like, do you have a strategy around that, or is it kind of ad hoc?
It's a little bit of both, and no, you bring up a really good point, and one of the things, I mean, so we have a company newsletter, and I have a VDC section in there every other month or so. I do a little clip snippet from that. We also have what we call as our VDC Corner newsletter, and that's something I do maybe once a quarter. It's kind of when I can fit it in and have time to put it together. I am recruiting some other help from the team to help going forward. But and then we have an innovation group that I'm part of. We're working on an AI group right now, and the goal is, yes, we're going to have increased communication. The challenge is when you look at the metrics that come from like an internal newsletter, and we use some of the software we use, like lets us kind of track, hey, who's opened it, how many people have opened it, you've sent it a couple times, and this is your open rate and click rate and everything like that. We only get about a 30 to 40% like click rate or open rate on newsletters, right? So it's not just with it for VDC, but just across the company, anytime we send a newsletter. So we started seeing this a while back. And actually not long after I joined the company, we started pushing like, hey, we need to do, I mean, look at how the world is communicating now. It's 30-second videos on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, right? It's these short hits that, draw in attention, get people looking at something that they can digest in, I think I heard somewhere that you literally have like 8 seconds to get somebody's attention, right? So we started doing that, and we've kind of expanded that. We've been working with our marketing team. Our marketing team is going down the same route where video content is I don't want to say replacing newsletter content, but it's adding to it. It's another way of getting, the same or similar information in front of people. And to me, I mean, when you look at like video content, I mean, they say, a picture says 1,000 words. Well, a video is like infinitely more powerful, right? And you do the video right, and you have people that are knowledgeable on how to create that type of content. And then the quality of it, making sure, I think Grant, you and I discussed, I mean, I sent a big chunk of my team. I sent 5 to 7 people, and I feel like I really kind of put my neck on the line because I started pulling people from operations and different groups within our company. I sent them to video training. I sent them to I'm going to give a shameless plug here for Paul over at the Drone U. Paul's been an awesome partner, and they provide world-class training on both drone operations, mapping, all of that stuff, but the video content. And my instruction to Paul was, I want these guys to be able to tell a story, right? Because I think that's a gap within our industry is, anybody can fly the drone and do, a half circle or a circle around a project and hand over raw video and, hey, here is the status of your project, right? But when somebody comes in and you have some dynamic video and you're actually kind of telling a story and you're showing imagery of the workers and what's going into building this project. Our clients spend a lot of money on these projects. I mean, we have a lot of projects that are $150 million plus, right? There was a lot of prep that went in from our clients to get to the point of construction, right? And to show them that we're doing everything we can to build the product that they want, the quality that they want, and tell the story of how it's built. I mean, that speaks to them. We have a number of our clients that, as we started doing this and started handing over more dynamic video and more what you maybe call, I mean, still progress. It's still showing them the status of their project, but it's done in more of a storytelling or marketing way. We've had a number of our projects that say, hey, we want that on a weekly basis. Our clients and owners are willing to pay for it, and they want it on a regular basis because they're able to share it with their stakeholders. They're able to, one of our largest clients right now, they actually hired our team to do one of their training videos internally. So as we're building the project, we're getting footage from that, and we're taking footage that they provided, and we're building a video for them to use internally within their company to share not only the status of this, but start training people on, hey, this is the new facility. Here's what's going on at the new facilities. Here's how you do this, and safety and all of that stuff. So,
yeah, I think, I mean, man, lots of tracks to go down on that one. But like, Brian, it's interesting too, from your perspective, like you kind of, I don't want to say grew up. I'm not going to age any of us here, but like you've seen the value of that as your kind of young career has started, right? I mean, you've seen video content really I would say drive engagement. I know and I've seen a lot of the videos that you produced, like shows, I think, the personal interest to it. Like, what's that like to kind of tap into maybe another industry or maybe another, like, I don't want to say hobby, like just another skill set maybe that, yeah,
Yeah.
like I know you enjoy it because I've obviously seen the content you do, and it's incredibly, I would say, just engaging and thoughtfully put together. And yeah, like what's that been like to kind of have that charter or vision from Josh and team of like, hey, like this is going to be us, and this is what our brand is going to be known for.
Yeah, no, I thank you. But it was been it's been really interesting and fun. When I've always thought GoPros were pretty cool. And like I kind of filmed with GoPro, but that was like the extent of my video knowledge before going to like this Drone U like video training. And like after that training, I was like, oh, I went out and bought a set of mics, and I bought myself a camera because, well, and we had a camera, but I was like, I want to like personally like get into this and invest in this because I could. The training was more of like it sparked that interest and desire, and I could see like the potential in it. And so since then, my position in the company trying to teach, we have lots of different technologies and trying to teach project teams on how to use this, or trying to just educate them doing that internal marketing. The video has become very impactful and needed there, and so it's been really cool. Like we had a technology, it's called rod radar. It's like a ground penetrating radar built into an excavator bucket. And I went out, and when we did like our first training with that, I took a camera out and we did like a full like video. I captured a ton of video content from it, and from there, that video has been probably the most impactful way to get that knowledge out to the company that, hey, this is a new tool, safety tool that we're using in our company. And anyways, it's been really cool to see how people really like that. They like seeing the video content, and I think it's really impactful to be able to tell the story that way. And it's definitely become a hobby of mine since this kind of it became my job, and then it became my hobby type thing. So
Brian talks about
Don't sell
Brian.
yourself short, Brian. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you are
Rod-
selling yourself a little short, but that's okay. Humbleness is always good. Brian, or Viz over here, has always talked about his GoPro days of, putting on a skateboard and riding around streets
Yeah.
of
It
New
was
York.
early like Rodney Mullen skateboarding that got me into like the fisheye lens videos. That's really where my interest sparked. But I
I'm
mean,
still digging up that library, Brian.
yeah,
I've yet to scour the internet.
yeah, no, you won't find that anywhere. Trust me, that thing is torched. But anyways, Brian, any like quick tips for anybody listening? Like something you learned through the Drone U program on the storytelling aspect, or
And shout out to Paul too. I love
Yeah.
your guys' shout out to him. I mean, yeah, pioneer, I would say, in the space of education from drone in very early days. But yeah, cool that you guys got to go. Good question, Brian.
yeah, I mean, really, it's getting excited about it and just trying things. I like adding things to your video. Like anybody can go out and take like a cell phone video, but if you can add like good audio to that, or like sound effects, or like you can just take some b-roll clips, and it's adding a lot of different things to a video to just tell the story, and really like having an objective when you're creating the video, and then adding in shots and different things to tell that story. And I don't know, it was since that training, like I've been watching tons of YouTube videos and just been trying things, and I think that's where I've learned the most. A lot of it has just been self-taught stuff, but it's really just having that desire to say, hey, I enjoy this content. Ever since that training, I can't watch a movie without like critiquing like all of the shots in a movie, and being like, how did they get that, what was their like camera setup going to be like how is their lighting set up, and I think it's looking at the world in a different lens of, instead of being a consumer, being a producer, and saying, okay, how can we, like, how did somebody else do it, and how can we do something similar? And I there was a really good video trainer, Jake Levesque, at the training. He's amazing. But he said, like, every video that's made, like, it's just it's somebody else copying somebody else. And so, like, his recommendation was go and find a video that you really love, copy down the shot lists, and then just copy it and like use it for your video. And that's been really cool too, is just like, if you see something that you like, write down what they did and then go and do that. And so anyways, that's just some thoughts.
Yeah, I love that. I thought you added like a little iPad selfie, like video effect. Like you just did that too. I thought he was like, yeah, just like you see a shot that you like, and then it was like doing effects.
It's funny when we've done our show and tells and our kind of community huddles that you guys are joining in on. It's so funny because whenever I tap you guys on the shoulder for a show and tell, it's like, yeah, let me pull this video out of the library here, and everyone else on that call is like, come on, guys, you can't go first. You can't be the ones that put this out. But it's awesome. I mean, yeah, even just the GPRS thing and like sharing stuff about, I would say not overly, but just like uniquely technical things, and like just get the story part of it that people will remember it. Yeah, it's so important, yet such a lost art that, I mean, none of us went to school for filmmaking, storytelling, all those things. But yeah, I think you said it well, Brian. Like, you learn as you go. Definitely, like, don't see it as failure, see it as progress. I mean, all the things that I'm sure you can go back and look at your earlier videos and be like, oh man, I could do this different or that different.
The video is an example of, and you guys kind of open this with, we have this, you have this perception of us that we're, cutting edge, we're leading. I want to make it, we're not, my desire is not for us to be cutting edge or bleeding edge of anything. We're fast followers on a lot of this stuff. But to me, I think the key differentiator that we're trying to put out there is we're going to do it better, right? Video has been out there for a long time. Rod Radar, we've mentioned. Dusty Robotics, we've mentioned. All of these things, they're established technologies within our construction realm and construction technology. We're not the first ones to go out there and try this, right? But we're going to watch closely, and when we do adopt something or we move in a direction, we're going to make it a point, we're going to do it better. And I think a lot of companies that are our size, I mean, we're looking at what the bigger guys are doing. We're looking at what our counterparts are doing. We're talking with our partners, peer groups that have the same role or title or position within these other companies. We're asking them what they're doing, right? And then when we figure out what we want to do, what works best for us, we're just going to find a way to do it better. Video is a perfect example of that. We saw a gap. We saw, the technology cost. Drone cost has increased so much. I mean, we're not talking like 5 years ago where you could go buy a Phantom for $1,000, right? And you could take a couple photos. You could do a mapping mission, and that was sufficient, right? We're paying, $5,000, $4,000, $5,000 for Mavic 3 Enterprises and Matrice 4s, or whatever it may be, right? We need to be able to expand what we're using those for, right? We need to justify that cost a little bit more. And what we really noticed early on was the bottleneck was the people, the education of the people, the experience of the people. So we've made an effort to move in that direction and increase and enhance that knowledge base of our team. And as a result, our video content started becoming better. We started seeing that, hey, we can do more with this. We can start telling these stories. We can, again, you get passionate people like Brian doing that, where I had to get mad at Brian before because he leaves work and goes home and does more work. And it's like, Brian, you've got a family. You need to go spend time with your family and not think about all this stuff at work. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time to do work stuff, right? But he's passionate about it. That's very similar to me. I know I have a number of people on my team that are passionate about that, where they want to know more. They want to learn more. They want to improve what they're capable of doing. And I think that that's a really important factor.
Man, well said. Can't teach passion. I've learned that not only personally, but professionally too. And just, we talk a lot about on the team of superpowers, and we all have them, and we all want to embrace the ones that we do, and I think encourage others in what their superpowers are, whether they recognize it or not. But Jarvis, you want to land the plane here? We'll take this one home. Any kind of final thoughts from your end?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to get to know you guys a little bit more. I just kind of joined the Drone Deploy family just a little bit ago, been a long time user, but just the thought process of moving technology from the idea phase to the experimentation phase to the implementation, and just kind of codifying it across Weitz is really intriguing to me. So yeah, next time we're in town or whatever, I'm gonna see if I can squeeze my way over there just to chat with y'all.
Absolutely, more than
Yeah,
welcome.
it's a man. I mean, I was already encouraged before getting to talk to you guys, and it's always fun to just see a little bit behind the curtain too. I just think when I think of you guys, it's really about just what makes a really great team, and a great team has really great players, right? There's individual contributors, there's people that are casting the vision, there's folks like Brian who are out there executing, just continuing to test and trial and do things and say yes to people, set expectations. Like, yeah, you guys just check a lot of great team boxes. And it's funny, when we thought about what's the name of this podcast, what were we going to talk about? Like being different and like built different. Like you guys really are. And like, it's crazy to think how little of time that took. And that's just a huge testament to your guys' team and leadership and all the folks, even too, you would say, Josh, of like who believed in that vision that you set, obviously put resources and, things to make that happen. And I don't know. I just think it's super encouraging to our listeners to see your guys' story and to understand like, hey, like you can have a 5-year vision, you can have a 3-year vision if you really want to. And it's about bringing the right people in. It's about, getting back to the basics. Like, are you passionate about these things? Are these things going to, ultimately be a part of what you want to grow your career in? And so, yeah, I really appreciate you guys walking us through it. Cause yeah, again, we see it on different sides of it, maybe in more, kind of meetings throughout the week and month and things like that. But it's just really cool to see behind the scenes. So any kind of final thoughts, Brian and Josh, I'll let you kind of land it.
Hey, share with us what we can do better. I mean, now you've seen kind of behind the curtains. I'd love to, not right now, but
Yeah.
talk offline, Graham, but
No, I mean, yeah, the better stuff. You guys are, I think, yeah, not even mentioned too. I think humility and willing to connect with others. Like that's a whole other part that I think, the more I've gotten to know you guys too, it's like, no, we want to learn from other people. We're willing to share, what it is that we're doing, and execution wins. Like we're going to have ideas. And if you want to go replicate these, like you're going to have to go out and execute us. And that's like I think a lot of people can interpret that as a prideful thing, but it's like, no, like go do it. If you're motivated to go do it. And we're going to show you how we do it. And if that works for your team, go and make it happen. So I didn't even get to mention the kind of humility part of you guys wanting to continue to learn and grow. But Brian, any thoughts from your end? We're in between you and a car ride back to the office. So
Oh no, yeah, you're good. Yeah, so just thoughts is it's really a fun field that we get to work in. It's amazing to see like what people are doing and the cool creative things that they're doing to build, and at Weitz we have kind of like our motto is build a better way, right? And I think that there's so much like with technology and advancements with AI and everything, there's this huge opportunity for us to build a better way. And I think that there's like our team and I love just being able to innovate, being able to try new things, and it's just it's an encouraging future that we have, right? There's a lot of really cool projects that are coming up that we get to build, and new innovative ways that we get to build them. And I think that that's what I love about VDC. That's what I love about our team, is that we get to try things and we get to help, the bottom line, and we get to, be safer, be faster, be better in all these different ways. And we get to learn and grow while doing it. So it's fun.
you guys are definitely in a good environment to do that. And I know you two obviously represent a bigger team that not only on the VDC side, but Weitz in general. And yeah, just it's super encouraging. And you guys know you're doing great work, but it's often fun to get to slow down, celebrate it, share a couple stories along the way to see how you got there. So yeah, we just really appreciate your guys' time. Thanks for giving us a peek behind the scenes and an opportunity just to learn more from y'all. And yeah, if you haven't connected with either of these two guys, definitely encourage you to go check them out on LinkedIn and see a little bit more of those videos and things that you guys are constantly putting out there. We obviously are big fans and appreciate it from our side too, but yeah, go connect with them. So appreciate it, team. Thanks for chiming in with us today, and we'll see you on the next one.